Fireworks in game one. We'll see if Paradigm keeps it up. Game number two, picks and bans coming right at you. Up with the ultimate, not going to find anyone. There's the combo. Kero off the assist. There's Kero, double kill from the side lane. Comes out onto Dimmy. Kero winds up with a triple kill at the 10-minute mark. Repikas lands down. Half health for the Titans. Axioz takes out two.
That is it. Axioz and Repikas, the team are respawning.
P's and B's pretty pleased. Cringe Crew on the left, looking for the first pick. Paradigm on the right. Differences mainly that you want to see in the picks and bans here.
I would like to see a get ban away the way. So these games, normally Paradigm known to play aggressive, but that's usually with different support cards. Usually it's either the Ares or the Bacchuses. Cringe Crew forcing Paradigm into the Geb support earlier on forces this game super late. And Paradigm has been playing pretty well in these super late games. In the last set, like we mentioned, it was a 50-minute game where Paradigm almost won. And this game was about 44 minutes, and they won.
Yeah, Cringe Crew, and keep in mind, these are two of the better teams in Europe at the moment. Cringe Crew has really been very, very strong. They both have the same amount of losses, just 5. The only reason that you see one team above the other is because of simply more games played. Cringe Crew with that last loss, of course, will wind up with 6. But coming into this series, very, very similar tunes that these teams were playing. And looking at recent success, Cringe Crew is looking almost a little bit better than Paradigm in last week.
Coming into the season, nobody could really expect Cringe Crew. Everybody knew, like, okay, we got Panthera, we got Paradigm, who's going to come in at that number 3 spot, and now Cringe Crew showing up to play. And with these two teams being so close, we could see another split potentially coming out.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely very possible. Can't write anything off just yet. Paradigm ban out the Athena. This is a god that EmilZy, EmilZy has been always good on Athena, and taking it away from him, Cringe Crew, almost everything positive that happened from Cringe Crew happened off of EmilZy's Athena in the last game.
They even respected it by picking up the Mad Guy's Blessing on the Geb. Geb had to separate, before the Mad Guy's Blessing even came out, Geb had to separate himself so far away from the rest of his team, making sure he wasn't taunted as well. Cringe Crew now picking up the Apollo for Shaggyshenk. I really like this first pick.
It's going to put Shaggyshenk in a good spot. We saw how powerful it was for Funball, which this is actually a very good call if you're a Paradigm fan, because Funball played it very well. Funball plays Apollo very well in general, but Funball has a number of other gods that, in my opinion, are actually better than his Apollo. So, I mean, Shaggyshenk getting the access to the Apollo? Go right ahead. Najah will be selected for Qvo. Go ahead and repeat that.
Najah picked. Janus is picked. The global pressure is a lot. Najah going to set up the Janus, and is going to be able to play aggressive in the jungler and getting bailed out yet again by more portals, more thresholds. And we talked about Funballer earlier on. He has more options than just Apollo. He has the aggressive options of the Anher, the Hui on top as well.
Raijin selected for Cringe Crew, so they don't get the Athena, but they still stick to the mid lane. And then the third pick of the first half will be the Thor. So a very strong jungler coming out for a very strong jungler. Repikas has performed very well on Thor. Just go look up any old Titan video from yesteryear, and you'll see Repikas really running the show.
Raijin did a lot of damage for Cringe Crew last game, so they want to stick to that. Thor going to be able to set up the Raijin better than the Hunbats could, because the only realistic way you could do it with Hunbats is the Blink ultimate, but now Thor having this tectonic rift available. Paradigm picking up Guan Yu, that could very easily be Trixtank. Could be seeing that on Xaliea as well, but
I expect more Trixtank, to be honest with you.
I agree. He loves warriors on the supports. Osiris being banned away, Bacchus being banned away. The Kabrakan being banned away from Cringe Crew as well as the Soul.
Yeah, that you only see against the Paradigm team. Cherio actually played it earlier today, but I don't think it's going to warrant a ban in the future. The Xbalanque will be picked up for Paradigm, so Funball looking to be that late game carry. Something that I want to point out about the Cringe Crew bans before we get too deep, they ban out the Bakasura. So they realize, all right, we tried to get the pick, and honestly it wasn't the worst thing on the planet, but we want to see Axioz on something a little bit more strong. We've seen Axioz carry games. That wasn't one of them, but we still got to not let it go to Paradigm.
QvoFred known to play Bakasura, especially if they got Bakasura with Janus. The mobility throughout that jungle would have been too much for early game Cringe Crew to handle. Off of that, they have a lot of control now with Sobek. onto EmilZy as well as the Bellona for Axioz.
Yeah, Sobek's EmilZy's Sobek is honestly pretty hot and cold. When he finds the plucks, he's really able to turn these games. And sure, that's just Sobek in general, but it really depends on the outing. If you're a Cringe Crew fan at home, definitely start looking towards that. Bellona very standard, and then one more time, Geb will be the support, so we will see Xaliea on the Guan Yu.
Xaliea on the Guan Yu against the Bellona. It might be, depending on how aggressive Axioz is here, Xaliea could be very easily punished in this situation.
We'll see. Classic matchup from the Guan Yu versus the Bellona. A little bit different as far as the players. Xaliea taking on Axioz in the larger Paradigm versus Cringe Crew. Game number 2 coming at you now.
Xaliea with a good silence, keeping Axioz in an awkward position. Swimmers are making it come up big. One more hit, he will die as well to Xaliea, who gets a double.
Run away, Xalia's coming.
He got him again! Blind shot in the dark finds the kill.
Trixtank is there, still stunned, but it doesn't matter. Funballer finds the last hit, and then he finds a beautiful stun on Variety as well. He can't even get Lawbringer up.
That passion, that enthusiasm, honestly, just the raw screaming. That's what Paradigm brings, not just at LAN, they bring it at home, and that's exactly why I expected Paradigm to have the bounce back game, even against a strong team like Cringe Crew. You don't, when you're a team like Paradigm that runs off of that mentality, I mean, you can't have a bad week and not bounce back. It's just not in the nature of the team.
They've been through that before coming in the past. A lot of these players have been playing for 3 years or so. So they have the losses under their belt. They have the wins under their belt as well.
Even together, QvoFred, Lawbster, and Trixtank, this trio, this core right here in the middle of your screen. Xaliea and Funball, they were add-ons from, honestly, a team called iKicked. but that trio of Qvo, Lawbster, and Trix, these guys have been playing, I mean, you've played against this lineup, haven't you?
Yeah, we played together quite a lot. We met at the launch tournament. They definitely caught us off by surprise. A lot of respect on their way after that tournament. And just like you mentioned, they've been playing the game as long as we have in the North American scene. And they always come up to play. Even like a loss last week, they bounce back just like you mentioned, getting in easy dominant. It wasn't easy in the 44-minute game, but like we see the dominant performance from them. They're not deterred by the long duration of it.
Exactly. You know, these players, like we said, the players in general have been playing together for a long time, but Lawbster, the mid lane here on the Janus, he's been playing the game longer than honestly most people. I think Matty Pocket, probably the most veteran. He's got a very low number on his account, but as we come into this, Paradigm definitely some of the more veteran players in the entire league.
And with that, Trixtank recognizing the damage potential, just going to roll in, knock up. We do have a lot of aggression onto QvoFred. He might take a spill early on.
And it looks like Repikas was looking for one last basic underneath the tower. Can't find it. Well played by QvoFred to take the direct route, not trying to dodge and weave any projectiles. And that's honestly what saves the life of the jungler. And more importantly, the red pot.
And now with Repikas forcing QvoFred out of this situation, the Fire Giant Imps goes into his favor. Right side mid Harpies was taken. Left side is still up, however.
Axioz and Xaliea now left alone, about half HP for everybody. Repikas will join Kero, who's half HP. Shows up behind the mid laner, and Janus with eyes on the back of his head.
And we do have a rotation from EmilZy. They're trying to find Lawbster. His portal is down. Curse was used. This might be first blood.
It will be. Kero shows up from the mid lane to help out as jungler and support. And the trio of Cringe Crew combined to put first blood on the map very, very early on. 1.5. And just before that, about 120, we saw Janus fall.
And that's huge, picking off a Janus. Usually the mobility that Janus provides with the portal, with the threshold, not allowing himself to escape with the portal being down. He didn't use the purification during the curse, which might have been able to actually bail him out.
I mean, it was rough. He had 2 players surrounding him, and I think the body blocks really would have come into play. And that was just beautifully executed by Cringe Crew more than anything else, like you said. That portal, you know, a siren goes off when Agni dashes. When the Janus portal goes out, not the same effect, but for Cringe Crew, it went off, and that's why they were able to find the kill.
It went off because we saw EmilZy rotate aggressively overhand. Usually whenever you see Januses do the back harpies, they're going to portal back into the middle lane, trying to maximize their farming potential, and teams just kind of overlook that. But that early game level 2, level 3 area, when you portal from middle into the mid-side harpies, and you have a rotation of the support, you have to take that advantage. You have to get that first blood, and you have to find the invades off of that first blood.
And I mean, that's just the ripple effect. That kill happens because Repikas pushes QvoFred out of the lane.
It's a slow and steady snowball. The jungler gets away, 2v1 advantage becomes a 3v1, and now here comes a proxy in the dual lane, pre-3 minute mark. QvoFred in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, QvoFred gonna fall here. Kero finds his second kill of the game in that many minutes, and the jump over from the solo lane, very troublesome coming out for Paradigm this early on.
And with that, Cringe Crew does get the second kill. They're up about 1,000 gold right now. More aggression here. Cringe Crew looking to potentially catch Trixtank. They're going to switch their sights onto Funballer. The knockup is going to stop the dash as well, and now they're going to go safely under the tower.
Funball 25%, a lot of chunking coming out, and Cringe Crew, well, they certainly had a talk in between games, looking very strong here, starting off things with a bang with first blood, and then immediately following up just 60 seconds later, able to find another kill, and they're all going to Raijin, which is important.
And because of those 2 early kills, Paradigm is forced to put a sentry ward defensively this early on. They don't want to have any offensive wards from Cringe Crew. They don't want Cringe Crew to make the plays against them. They know that they're on the back foot, and they have to play it safe moving forward. They can't look for anything too aggressive, and they can't allow Cringe Crew to play aggressive.
I mean, that's more of that steady, snowball probably the wrong word, but that steady butterfly effect of one small thing turning into another thing. We saw it with the 2 kills. Putting that sentry ward down ensures that Cringe Crew can't continuously do what they've been doing.
Funballer going to dash under his tower. EmilZy was thinking about potentially looking for the dive. It would have been not the worst thing in the world finding the kill. You would have taken a lot of damage if EmilZy went in, but getting the kill onto the Apollo, putting him in position to exceed over the Xbalanque is good.
Yeah, he, being Shaggyshenk, still sitting about 150 gold above his opposition, but just not too much to really take note of. Paradigm, on the other hand, 3 members in the mid lane, not going to even get a chance to look towards these left harpies.
Left side harpies going to Cringe Crew right now, coming up at the 5-minute mark. Red buff is available for Paradigm. They're looking for it. Red buff for Cringe Crew was taken onto Kero, so they're looking to get this mid wave, and then maybe they're going to look for aggressive positioning on one side or the other.
Aggressive positioning on the right side, at least just walking there. Headed back towards these elementals over by the fire giant. Still spawning. Repikas has ultimate available, so if they want to commit to the right-hand side, they can. But Repikas opts not to. After all, it is Guan already starting to build some physical protection.
Paradigm recognizes this. They position themselves to counter gank if that ever happened. A little bit of a boxing match between Axioz and Xaliea. Axioz is forced to dash away there as the Geb did show up.
Interesting Scourge comes out during the Tallow Assault. Not going to stop any. I mean, the disarm just sort of wasted there.
Just trying to get the lifesteal per hit. Every 3 hits, you do get that life bonus as well as the death's toll on top of that. So just trying to dish out as much sustain during the damage from Xaliea.
Just mitigating everything. So you deal 2 damage, I heal 1, and it all just becomes a little bit more even than it should be. Repikas here to start farming the wave on the left side, or the right side.
I really like the fact that Repikas is here covering the wave for the Bellona. You never want to make sure that any single wave is lost under the tower. And this is how you maximize farm. One person has to back. He calls it to the rest of his team. Somebody covers for them.
Otherwise, it's just gone into the ether. All of that experience in gold just goes to literally no one. Might as well take it. Axioz is back to get his own farm, though. EmilZy quietly dodges. Vortex coming out from Lawbster's Janus.
And now Bellona's looking to play aggressive, forcing Xaliea out of position. Xalea's ultimate was used based off the mini-map. You see both their ultimates are exchanged there.
A lot of damage coming out from Kero this early on. Still, just building into the power boots, but more importantly, the Soul Stone.
The Soul Stone does a lot of damage early game. You build those 5 stacks, your next ability is going to do a massive amount of damage. Cringe Crew looking for somebody around the corner. Trixtank recognizing this, going to roll in towards the red buff. Not going to find anything as Cringe Crew, however, but that thought process is there. And now they might be looking to start up an early Gold Fury around the 7-minute mark.
Yeah, Paradigm flirted with this last time around. They had to leash it because of the rotations coming out from the enemy team. And this time, Cringe Crew does exactly that. Fantastic play from Paradigm to show their face. Forces the Janus ult out of Cringe Crew. Honestly, that's a win for CC.
That's a little bit of a win for CC getting the Janus ultimate. However, that did hit Shaggyshenk in the process, and they could potentially take advantage of that if they so choose to. We do have a rotation from the Geb and the Xbalanque. They were thinking about potentially diving, going to think otherwise.
Yeah, don't want to dive this early, especially on the Xbalanque. He does have the Golden Bow, amplified the cleave coming out from the ranged basic attacks. But still, Xbalanque, the character, definitely doesn't have the same power that the Apollo has early on, and there's going to be a curse given out, and the ultimate will negate it. Xbalanque ultimate, and Axioz is going to take a spill here. Xaliea shows up with the kill in the solo lane. Assist goes to the jungler, although if you ask me, he didn't really assist too much.
Axioz hesitated on using his ultimate a little bit there. What his thought process was he wanted to jump into the blue buff because if he jumped into the tower, he would have got dove anyway.
Right.
However, diving into the blue buff, obviously, Guan, you can't go through that wall,
Exactly.
and that horse would not have been able to travel around the corner there.
So one kill answered finally for Paradigm. They suffered a kill early on in the first minute, and then a follow-up kill in number 2, and then 6 minutes without any action. Paradigm finally find themselves on the good side of an engagement. And again, here's that cleanup that you were talking about, just never letting any of the experience go to waste.
And this is how you keep yourself from falling behind too much. You're already up 2 kills. Even though you did lose 1, you're minimizing the loss by putting somebody else in that position. It's like rotations, and anywhere you go, you have to fill out the A, B, C. B is missing. Okay, we'll put 8.2 or something like that in between.
And I mean, I think it was you that gave a callback to the old Alec Baldwin. Your ABCs. Always be clearing.
Always be clearing.
Always be clearing. Not necessarily closing here, but always be clearing when it comes to the MOBA. You always want to be doing something. And that's something I've never been able to find it as elegant as a phrase as you, but I always say, just always do something. If you're not doing anything, you're doing it wrong.
Exactly. There's so many things on this map for you to do. Solo lane has the fire giant imps. The dual lane has the boars. Both sides have the back harpies. There's a lot of things open for you to take, and there's obviously the wave that you always have to take into consideration. If you get bullied out, having that extra pressure alleviated from you goes a long way. We have a 2v2 engage earlier on. Thor's going to think otherwise as he does group up back in middle.
Trixtank knocks up Repi, deals a little bit of damage along the way. Repi will take some poke from minions as well. Very quickly finds himself missing about a quarter of his HP bar.
EmilZy looking for a potential play as he groups up in middle as well. He's known to play very aggressive. Sobek fits into that style. Axioz getting bullied out in his tower, 1v2, but looks like there's going to be a rotation towards the Gold Fury. Noticing that Cringe Crew, that Paradigm has 2 members to the solo lane. We do have a teleport underneath. Xalia's wrapping underneath. Trixtank's going to blink an ulti.
Ultimate coming out of Trixtank. Kero's going to respond with the ultimate. 25% already on the support. Kero's going to blink away. Thor's up, trying to find a target. He's looking for one in particular. Can't make up his mind. Lands on the Guan Yu, but he misses it. Lawbster doesn't and finds the kill onto EmilZy. Up in the sky goes QvoFred, and he's going to take one with him, and it's Axioz. Forced to jump away, and the follow-up from Paradigm stopped by the Thor wall. Beautiful play from Repikas to stop anyone from killing his solo laner.
That was huge. That could have been easily a 2-for-0. Instead, it's going to be a 1-for-0. Paradigm not capitalizing on with the Gold Fury. So the way that started was beautiful. We had Xaliea teleport on the top side, Gold Fury wrapped underneath. We had Trixtank blink ulti as well. The damage was there. Thor couldn't find the ultimate during the Xbalanque ultimate, so a little bit of unfortunate initiation for Cringe Crew. Paradigm got the better end of that.
Sitting up on top with 11 minutes on the clock. Kills are all even, and the gold just as much. Gold Fury doesn't even go down. A couple of players lose their lives, and everything all tied up here.
Player damage favoring Xaliea a little bit. Gold, we see the graphs on your screen. Experience going into the favor Paradigm at the 11-minute mark. It's very negligible right now.
Oh, yeah.
Speed buff being taken by both teams as Gold Fury just being warded around. EmilZy trying to protect his ward, but not going to be able to find it.
Very aggressive build path coming out from the Najah, building into the Blink. Really going to be looking for these surprises. And, you know, something, Cringe Crew, they take the Bakasura out of the hands of Axioz. You go, all right, we'll give you the Bellona. You'll have a better chance in the solo lane, and you won't lose your tower by 10 minutes. Paradigm say you're still going to lose your tower by 10 minutes, but that was a concentrated effort. QvoFred comes over and they're able to take it out. And, you know, Flaming Spear, that's a very good tool to take out these objectives.
And Cringe Crew tried to capitalize on the fact that knowing Axioz was going to lose his tower.
Yep.
Unfortunately, the rotation from Xaliea was too good. The initiation from Trixtank was even better.
I saw your face there when we watched these games. You're a solo laner at heart, and you know, watching you were so impressed by that teleport. What was so special about it?
He didn't hesitate on the teleport. The quickness and the reaction, like, okay, the Golfier is being started. I need to get here as soon as possible. I know Trixtank's about to go in. I'm going to go in with him, and we're just going to be like the Bash brothers in the back line pounding each other.
That was super fun. That was super fun watching, knowing that seeing the combination without actually seeing it. All via voice communication. You're on the complete other side of the map. No, like you said, knowing that you're going to see your support go in, it's a lot of fun. Very, very cool to see Paradigm working as a unit here.
Speaking of unit, the Janus portal was used just for QvoFred to get out of there. He wasn't even in trouble. It's just like, you know, come here, let's go hang out.
Just in case.
Yeah.
Always the just in case. EmilZy off the mark on that pluck. He's going to get punished for it. Stun into a bunch of damage coming out from the mid lane. There's the Xbalanque ult, and Xaliea goes up on the horse and takes more poke than he gives. Apollo from the sky looking for the kill onto the support, but can't find it as Funball turns around and takes out EmilZy.
And Xaliea bought a lot of time, danced around, kited as long as he could, still running away from the team fight. Paradigm finds the one kill. Can they find the second one? Lawbster gonna get Geb shielded away. Kivo finds Shaggyshenk, gonna find the ultimate as well.
QvoFred on fire today. One kill off of the ring, one kill off of the ultimate. Credit goes to Lawbster off of the assist from the strong jungler. And QvoFred, ultimate down still, ready to fight. 1-1-4 for the Paradigm jungler. He and the mid laner has combined for a couple of kills, and it's looked very strong.
So with that team fight 3-0, Xaliea teleported into that team fight at the end there. I assumed that Paradigm was going to take advantage of that by forcing the Golfier, but a few other members were a little bit low. Xaliea could have potentially healed everybody back up, just being Guan, you having that heal maxed out. Secondly, with that the gold advantage, gold, 1,000 gold in the lead after that team fight. Xaliea starting the Golfier.
You know, it's funny there, Toli. You rightfully assumed that Xaliea was leveling up the heal secondly, because that's what Guan Yu does. Gold Fury goes the way of Paradigm pretty much for free, thanks to Xaliea correctly zoning. But Xaliea actually goes very offensive, typical Xaliea nature, and he's maxing the dash second, so he's going to get more damage out of that Warrior's Will.
And this is the typical style that Paradigm likes to do, the aggressive damage. Now here, Xaliea does have sprint second, not the meditation, so he's not looking to be that sustained heal bot. Instead, he's like, okay, I'm going to tell assault somebody and then dash them for a lot of damage, forcing the Bellona ult defensively there. Thor is up in the sky, looking for a counter engage, just going to land on his own speed buff. But yeah, like you mentioned, Xaliea getting his dash here. At one point, it surprises me, but then I remember, okay, it's Xaliea. Now it doesn't really surprise me anymore.
The Transcendence chalk, right? It's the same thing. Last time around, we saw a very traditional composition coming out from Paradigm, and they built a lot of interesting items. This time around, still traditional composition coming out from Paradigm, but we're going to be still, got to put our Paradigm brand on it. And, you know, that's something... They're not doing different for different sake. They know exactly the identity of their team. They have this aggression out of the solo lane, whatever god they give Xaliea. They want him to play aggressive so that they can set everybody up. And Paradigm, most importantly, they understand their brand of Smite, and they play it to the nth degree. And that's why they've been so successful.
It's good to have an identity, but it's also good to be able to break away from the typical mold. You don't want to be read like a book throughout. You know, you have to mix things up, whether it's picks and bans, whether it's your invade strategies as well.
Like we saw that, you know, Paradigm have adjusted. All the Kabrakens are getting banned out. All the quote-unquote weird picks for Paradigm are getting banned out. They go, okay, you've banned out our Jake. We'll just play what's normal. We'll pick up the Geb, double stun coming out with the ultimate, and Lawbster just old-fashioned hits him with the unstable vortex, finding the 6th total kill for Paradigm here.
I like the way the Geb just used his ultimate just to stop the Berserker barrage. No follow-up damage as well. During the Xbalanque ultimate, there was nowhere for him to go. The Naja ring bounce is doing a lot of damage as well. They find an easy kill onto Repikas. Now the thing is, what do they do in response to this kill? Where do they go from here? Do they go to the tier 1 middle tower, or do they just keep putting pressure on the solo lane with that tower being down, trying to whittle away the tier 2?
A lot of different options for Paradigm as they've quickly turned things around. Cringe Crew started this one off really with a bang, but since then it's been 14 minutes of unanswered kills going the way of Paradigm. Cringe Crew just unable to really find whatever catalyzed them early on into the mid game.
I like the way Funballer's playing very aggressive. He has Transcendence online.
Yep.
His damage from his abilities does a lot. So you have to be careful if you're Shaggyshenk, especially considering you don't have lifesteal.
And you mentioned that Funball's playing aggressive, and he's playing aggressive. It's important to note he's playing aggressive with his positioning and his stance and his ability to go ahead and take the fight, but he's still very well aware that the Apollo with the Ikaval and everything, the Transcendence, I'm going to be big later. Right now, I'm here, and he Rising Jaguars away from the opposition, knows exactly how much he can bite off without getting too excited when later on, maybe with a couple more stacks on that passive, the Xbalanque is going to be swinging like a truck.
And we do have more aggression underneath the Xbalanque and the
Ooh.
Apollo trying to box each other, both taking swings. Shaggyshenk in a lot of trouble with the Xbalanque ultimate. The range is good, forcing the Sanctuary.
And there's the Janus ultimate, just barely off the mark. Shaggyshenk barely escapes. And Funball. That was, see, exactly what we were talking about. That wasn't a fight that Funball wanted to take. That ultimate was used defensively, and because of the range, Funball is going to look for the basics. And because of the Shroud, no idea, Apollo. No idea how aggressive Funball is being. He's being intelligent. On the other hand, very aggressive coming out. Still intelligent aggression coming out from Paradigm. And right from the backside, Blink ultimate out of Naja. Repikas forced into the ult by Xaliea, landing on top as Xaliea turns around. Kero's going to fall. QvoFred, fantastic game for him. He's looked phenomenal thus far. One more spill going the way of Trixtank, so one kill answered right on back, but I'll trade a mid lane for a support any day of the week.
EmilZy trying to deter the rest of Paradigm away from this tower with his ultimate as Axioz goes in as well. He's out of mana and he can't do anything remaining. EmilZy in a lot of trouble as well. He falls 3 for 1 for Paradigm. The heal's coming online. Is this going to be potentially a
Axioz?
4 for 1?
And it will, and 2 of them go the way of Funball. Very important kills. Double digits for Paradigm. Cringe Crew finally do find a kill, but it's just not enough. You know, that one looked good for Cringe Crew. They made a good defensive set. They traded 1 for 1, and they made sure that Paradigm weren't going to be able to push onto the tier 1 tower. But literally, 1 or 2 steps forward from Cringe Crew, put them in the crosshairs of Paradigm. It snowballs into 3 extra kills, 2 of which go the way of the Hunter, who's going to stack up that passive, and it turns into 2 entire towers. 19 on the clock, and Paradigm leading by 6K.
Paradigm are dictating these team fights right now. The way Xaliea engaged there, he went in, forcing the Thor ultimate under the tier 2 tower, and then he wraps back around underneath, going on to Kero as he lands from the Naja ultimate. Switching targets like this, the way Paradigm are doing, is why they're being successful right now. And if they keep this up, they can keep getting objectives, getting Gold Fury next after this tier 2 mid tower.
And that's something that Paradigm have always honestly lived and died by, more often than not living. The impulsivity of the players. The ability to quickly switch targets is something that everybody needs to have. Target prioritization is very important in team fights. But just the ability, the ability to follow these impulses. Like I said, Cringe Crew stepped up maybe a step or 2 and just bang. Paradigm knew that they had the opportunity. They took the bull by the horns and just shoved it down the lane.
And Paradigm recognized the fact that a few members from Cringe Crew were a little bit out of mana, specifically Axioz. EmilZy forced into his ultimate earlier on. The Tectonic Rift wasn't the best as it dissected, hurting Cringe Crew a little bit more than benefiting them as well. Gab's going to roll in, trying, nope, not going to look to contest the ward.
Nope, just going to show up, roll around. And Paradigm have 3 members here anyway, so if Cringe Crew, if EmilZy does dash in, they can definitely punish the Croc. Deciding not to.
Level 13, Sobek. He has Wingblade online, 1 stack of Hide of the Urchin, leaving his boot at tier 1 right now. As Cringe Crew's going to get left side mid Harpies on the other support side. A little bit more tanky, having to double auras between the Heartward Amulet and the Sovereignty. I really like this idea that Trixtank has, benefiting his team, being more utility-based, especially with the Geb shield.
That's the very old classic Aura's first approach to the support role. Whereas on the other side on the Sobek, this is pretty much the build that Jigs has popularized. The player on North America's side, Soar, has really popularized this build. EmilZy finds a pluck on the support. Going to meet up with another Tectonic Rift, and Trixtank takes next to no damage off of the follow-up.
That through space and time, chunking EmilZy to less than half health. Xalia's around the corner as well. Taluasol forcing the defensive ulti and the sprint as well. Now Paradigm having this advantage, switching targets to Axioz, forcing another defensive ulti.
Just opportunistic. Paradigm looking at every single window, and if it's not open, shoving something in it and throwing it to the ceiling. Paradigm able to chase off their opposition because of the distance they've created. They're going to go ahead and look at the Gold Fury.
They have to respect the fact that Thor can go up in the air, and as we mentioned, just like that, who is he going to land on? Going to go on Lawbster. The portal is good, however.
Very, very quick reflexes coming out from the mid laner. Gold Fury will be pulled one more time. 50% already. EmilZy shows up, chases everybody off with a single sickening strike, and just the presence alone. There's too many members of Cringe Crew around, really. Paradigm might have been looking for a pick, looking for a fight, but everybody's spread out, and they know better, so Paradigm will not take the bait.
And with that poke onto Shaggyshenk and not having any lifesteal, that alone could trigger Paradigm to start up the Gold Fury. They have the Guan U sustain on top. There's a lot of cooldowns that was used by Cringe Crew, the Bellona, the Thor ultimate, the Sobek ultimate, the Sprint as well.
Yep.
They need to take advantage and force either the Tier 1 tower in duel or the Gold Fury.
You know, it's so interesting. Last year and in years prior, lifesteal was considered, I mean, one of the basic tenets, like an entire pillar of itemization for hunters. And this year, or this season, we're just seeing it get thrown to the wayside in favor of more damage.
A lot of hunters are now relying more on their front line to absorb the damage. As long as the hunters are very careful with their positioning, in reality, they don't realistically need the lifesteal. However, if they get dove, then they need it.
And right now, Trixtank going to go ahead and find the dive, bringing EmilZy very low in Funball. That's 4 kills for the Xbalanque, bringing himself all the way up to 20 additional power. Very important for the Paradigm Hunter. 4-0-7, Funball looking very clean.
With that 4 stack and now a 5v4 power play potential, Paradigm looking to push this Tier 2 tower, get building up his roll-up, trying to do something, popping the shell for the rest of the Tier 2 tower siege, and Cringe Crew gonna peel back as the rest of Paradigm get this Tier 2 tower uncontested.
Shell popped for Paradigm as they try to withstand some of the damage coming out from the tower. That's another Tier 2, 1500, puts them up to 9230, and Paradigm gonna look to even go further with a Gold Fury. Good zoning coming out from a Janus, which is a little interesting, but certainly coming out from the old-fashioned Trixtank on the Geb. Gold Fury goes down 5 digits, 10,600 gold in the lead is Paradigm.
More important was the experience. It's at about 14,000. We have the jungler 3 levels ahead, solo's a level ahead, the mid laner is 2 levels ahead for Paradigm. Everybody's ahead for Paradigm in such a fashion that these team fights become so much easier now. You can have Janus zone in that situation against Gold Fury.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Janus is 2 levels ahead of the mid laner. He's so far ahead, being level 20. Nobody on Cringe Crew is that high, and that's why he's able to zone, because he's not just zoning by way of crowd control. He's gonna zone and peel the way Ares does by just killing you. If you've got 0 health, you can't really do much to change the situation.
I like the item build coming out of Xaliea, picking up the Genji's guard, having the extra cooldown reduction, the 20 MP5 that comes with it, getting the extra magical defense against the very bursty Raijin, and support Sobek does quite a lot of damage as well.
I love this choice on Guan Yu. You know, it's just, all right, you go ahead, you heal, you dash, you get hit, you heal again, right? You're able to just really completely bring the already consistent healing from Guan Yu up another level. And of course, you know, the heal goes ahead. It's a 30-second ICD, but once it's triggered a second time, now you can bring your dash out one more time. It just synergizes so well with what Guan Yu's able to bring to the table.
We had earlier on, Janus was split pushing in the dual lane, forcing a wave under that Phoenix. Apollo's trying to respond to that. Janus is a good idea to have split pushing with the ultimate, the amount of mobility you get through the portals, through the threshold as well. You could force a 4v4 team fight and then just ultimate as well on top, potentially blowing somebody up in the process while you're rotating.
Now it makes sense. Now it makes sense. I gave Totally a very funny face. Janus split pushing just doesn't sound like a good plan, but it's about the bigger picture, really just baiting the opponent into taking the bait into a bad fight, which, yeah, okay. All right, Totally. I see you.
I mean, if you get hit by a Janus ult from across the map, if Fire Giant fight were to engage and a Janus ult comes from the dual lane, that's about 1,200 plus damage right there.
And when we saw Chaos last week on Enemy, had a fantastic game. QvoFred doing the same right here, taking out Axioz all by his lonesome. Nobody really taking a part of that, but assist credit given out to everybody in the area.
And now without Axioz, that's a huge front line that Cringe Crew loses. They're not able to rely onto that. Shaggyshenk not having the lifesteal necessary as a result. It doesn't matter if you don't have lifesteal, you have a lot of damage for objectives. And with that in mind, Xaliea is going to rotate, trying to defend the tier 1 tower, while the rest of Paradigm pushing the solo side Phoenix.
All by himself is Xaliea. Shaggyshenk still determined to go for it, mezzing out the Tallow Assault, but there's the damage coming out from Xaliea. This is a bad fight for Shaggyshenk. Gonna dash away, finding the stun. Sanctuary used to get rid of the damage. Very low is the Guan Yu. He's able to heal up, but guess what? Shaggy's not. But with the ultimate down for Xaliea, that's not going to wind up being a kill. And on the other side, Xbalanque ultimates to shove everybody off of the Phoenix, and the objective being found. Half HP on the Phoenix already. Cringe Crew do what they can, but it's just not enough. Phoenix gonna fall, not a single player does hold that. QvoFred might be punished for it, but a strong stun. Repikas answers with the ultimate out of the top, and a double kill going for Cringe Crew's jungle.
Bellona ulting back in Lawbster,
Wow.
finding the kill onto Axioz right after the respawn. What I wanted to mention was the Bellona rotation from Fountain, as we have Shaggyshenk landing down, finding kill onto Funballer, and
Nice
EmilZy a little
mez.
bit of trouble as well.
Nice mez stopping the Tallow Assault from Xaliea. EmilZy picks up one as well. Cringe Crew sat at 3 kills for the majority of the game, and then all of a sudden answer back with 4 in a single engagement. This is really why Cringe Crew is so strong. They're able to fight into a team that's over 10,000 gold up, no fear. They know exactly how and where they go for it. 4 players of Paradigm off the board. Only Xalia's alive, and he's nowhere near it. So CC pick up the FG for free.
So before that fight even began, the Guan teleported to the tier 1 tower. There's nothing that he could do, and as a result, they forced the team fight. Cringe Crew forced the team fight because they knew that the Apollo was ulting on over, and the Guan Yu had no way of getting to that team fight. The Bellona was respawning. We saw the Bellona ultimate on top of the QvoFred, and the Thor ultimate landing as well. So team fight favoring Cringe Crew.
You know, I think Paradigm actually thinks it's just baloney. Like, it was just absolutely incredible.
It was
how
bananas as well.
It was
B-A-N-A-N-A-S.
Cringe Crew able to just turn it around, and that's why this team is on top of the European scene. They're able to really just turn things. They're able to fight confidently. That's the biggest thing, totally. When you're down 5, 6, 7,000 gold, things seem bleak, but you go for it. When you're down 10, 11, 12K, like Cringe Crew was, fighting underneath the Phoenix, and then surging forward, I mean, what's the mindset like when you're sitting there?
You just have to hope for an opportunity, and you have to take it. They recognized the global pressure that they had between Apollo and Guan Yu, capitalized on the Bellona respawning, and with that, they found 4 easy kills. Xbalanque going to use his ultimate, trying to find the Thor.
Yeah, he wants to find a kill of his own, but Trixtank goes ahead. 1 kill going the way as Kero falls down. Here comes Lawbster. Nothing's going to be hit with the unstable vortex, and again, a strong mez out of Shaggyshenk to stop the Tallow Assault out of the side lane. Guan Yu, Shaggyshenk grabbed, Shaggyshenk poked. There's a lot of damage, and smoked out Trixtank again with the kill. So right away, Fire Giant or not, Paradigm able to turn things around, take 2 members out, 5 alive on the side of the red squad. Almost double the kills of Cringe Crew. Actually, a little bit more than that. And Paradigm going to stay aggressive.
So the thing that Cringe Crew had to remember was they're still behind a lot of gold, a lot of experience. That just because they get Fire Giant in that situation doesn't mean that they're able to just leave their base and get Gold Fury for free.
It doesn't even the teams up at this point.
It doesn't. The fact that they got Thor's up in the sky, Funballer going to dodge it.
Not going to land on anybody. Qvo also going to be off the mark with the stun for what it's worth. EmilZy finds a way out thanks to the charge prey.
And left side
half
Phoenix.
HP already.
Left side Phoenix being pressured. Funballer doing a lot of damage, getting zoned out by Axioz. He's going to get pressured. EmilZy looking for a play.
He gets the tail whip, but that's all he'll get. Trixtank takes everything else away from him, but Kero takes it away from Trixtank all the way on the backside. Finds the target, and QvoFred brings Kero to the sky. Repikas finds one before anyone else, and Lawbster able to answer off of the damage of Qvo, taking out Kero. But one more time, Phoenix falls down. Oh well, Cringe Crew still hitting the gas. They're able to answer back 2 for 2. But this time, Cringe Crew doesn't capitalize as much as they did the last time. Paradigm learned a little bit. What was the biggest difference between the right fight and the left fight?
Well, the fact that there was everybody available for Paradigm during the left fight, whereas the Guan Yu was not available during the right fight. And even though they lost that right fight very convincingly, they did get the right side Phoenix. And that right side Phoenix allowed the Titan to get extremely low here. So now Cringe Crew cannot leave their base to contest this next Fire Giant that's respawning in about 2 minutes.
Well, 31 minutes on the clock. 17-9. Paradigm clearly leading this one. Cringe Crew, I mean, it's tough to ever really call them out because of the play we just saw. You can't really ever say no to that. There's so much intelligence, and what we were talking about before, honestly, throw back to what we were talking about with the Hunter builds. Hunters now, they don't go the lifesteal as often until late game, not only because of Bloodforge, because it's all about team play now. Everybody tends to be very, very strong, so now it's really generally all about the team play. And look at Xaliea, a huge part of the team play, able to provide 13, almost 14,000 healing, even though that wasn't even his prioritization.
And that's the only advantage that Funballer has over Shaggyshenk is the fact that they have sustained from Xaliea.
Yep.
So they're relying on that in these team fights. They have the shell from the Geb. They also have shell from the Sobek and the Curse as well to try to limit the healing a little bit. I don't see any healing items with the exception of the Brawler's Beatstick on the Thor.
Yeah, so he's going to be able to land on players, hit him with the Zerka's Barrage and see what he can do, and that's the game plan as well. Shell already popped. Axioz finds a stun. Kero's Artillery not going to find too many targets. 2 out of 4 land, and Repi lands as well, also off to the mark. So Cringe Crew use all of their ultimates except for Shaggy's, and Quvo, he's going to find somebody with his ult. Down from the sky comes EmilZy, and Lawbster combines with the jungler to find another kill. 1 down on the side of Cringe Crew. 5 surging forward for Paradigm. They're going to get this Phoenix easy peasy as it's already low. Titan already low as well. 2,500 damage is all Paradigm need to do, but Cringe Crew fantastically playing defense, not allowing anybody in here.
5v4 for Paradigm. Janus was split pushing the left-hand side. There's going to be a big fire wave flooding in as there's an engagement on the right-hand side. Axioz is going to fall down to Funballer as Xaliea goes in, finding a second kill for QvoFred. Fire wave is on the Titan. It looks like it's going down.
Yeah, that's going to be toast. Paradigm wind up with the win. 2 players alive for Cringe Crew after Paradigm wind up with 20 in total. What a game. For a second there, I thought Cringe Crew was going to come back with it, but Paradigm recognized it, and they said, no way, Jose. They're able to turn it around.
They had the potential to come back. They just overextended after the Fire Giant. That Fire Giant was a stall tactic more than anything else. It wasn't the tool that they needed to win the game. It was the tool that they needed to stall and get back into the game.
Unfortunately for Cringe Crew and their fans, Paradigm wind up 2-0. And that's going to be a good look for them. Xaliea did a lot of work in this set specifically, whether he was on the Guan Yu or the Bellona. 2 very traditional picks, honestly, which is untraditional, honestly, for Paradigm. And Xaliea able to transition very well. Here he gets a double kill, all pretty much just surrounded by the team.
And with those traditional picks taken away from Xaliea, with the Kabrakan taken away from him, he leans on the Vamana, very strong of Vamana, able to bully the Bakasura early game, getting the tier 1 tower pre-10-minute mark, getting a lot of early kills and assists. And second game, playing the Guan Yu. Normally, you're not supposed to win this matchup at all. Even a level behind, he's forced to play aggressive against Axioz, even finding the kill, assisting with the Naja and the Xbalanque ult.
And, you know, a lot of that, as we said, was just Xalia's going to play the traditional, a little bit less traditional. And this is what we were talking about. Right away, forces the enemy, and then the impulse to turn around, find a new target. You brought that up specifically. That's just a great play coming out from Xaliea. Love to see that stuff.
And his rotations around the Gold Fury, always putting himself in the right position. Even though he didn't max out his heal, he was still playing aggressive, and he was taking the damage, not the rest of his team. And this was the wall that kind of was a little awkward.
Yeah, and this was, it looked like, all right, that's all we're getting. It's going to be 2 kills. But Paradigm, again, Xaliea, a big part of what was able to happen, it's the impulsivity, the commitment to the kills, the commitment to the calls, and then just the ability to turn on a dime. Just the ability to turn on a dime. Paradigm, compared to last week, turned on a dime. They faltered just a little bit and coming in here looking clean. 11 wins in total with only 7 losses. Paradigm surged forward to number 2. Cringe Crew fall to number 3. Dignitas still alive and well. We saw them earlier today, or earlier this afternoon, really put on a clinic. So right now, if the season ended immediately, Panthera, Paradigm, and Cringe Crew would be the ones going to DreamHack. You reckon that's going to stay the same?
It's very possible. Dignitas tied at 9-9. And speaking of DreamHack,
well, we've got the opportunity for you to go to DreamHack. We're still not sure what teams will be there, but you certainly can. DreamHack.se, get some tickets of your own. 9 teams in total. That's 3 from NA, 3 from EU, and then a whole bunch from around the globe will show up fighting over tons and tons of money. And then also, not for nothing, we've got the Paladins tournament going on. The qualifiers have been going on. You can catch them on the weekends, Saturday and Sunday for EU and North America specifically. And they'll be fighting, 4 teams will be fighting over $100,000. So a lot of excitement going on in the world of hi-rez esports. But man, these European Smite games have been out of this world.
Yeah, like the last set we saw how close and tied they were. This set as well, even though Paradigm won 2-0, this could have went either way specifically.
That's going to do it for match number 2. We've got Hungry for More and Fnatic coming up next. Do you have any feelings on that one? You have any feelings on that one, ex-Fnatic coach Anatoly?
I might have some feelings. We'll see what happens. There's a lot of strategies that both these teams have been expanding upon after the first half. A lot of break time for them to kind of adapt to the speed buff meta.
Right.
I expect a lot of aggression from both Captain Twig and Jiffy in this matchup.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see that one. Week by week, we've seen Hunger for More really steadily improve to become a better team. Fnatic, on the other hand, they've had some trouble. We'll see if the bye week actually helped them out. As you said, the map change around might be in a little bit different. Captain Twig versus Jiffy, who do you think benefits more from the speed buff?
Jiffy doesn't have as much experience competitively versus Captain Twig for the speed buff, so I give a slight edge for that reason to Captain Twig.
Hunger for More continue on their recent success. We'll take a look right after the break. Go grab a drink, and we'll see you soon here on hi-rez TV.